In this video, I'm going to discuss the reasons why Muslim women choose to remove their hijab. I will go over the importance of hijab and what it means to wear the hijab full-time as a Muslim woman. We will look at all of the reasons why Muslim women choose to remove their hijab and what we can actually do to hold on to our hijab rather than choosing to remove it.
Salam, I'm Veronica Adali. I'm a revert to Islam, a founder of a modest activewear brand, a content creator, a wife, and a mom. I share my life and business journey as a Muslim woman living in New Zealand. My mission is simple: help Muslim women to embrace modesty and hijab while following their true passion. I create content to boost self-confidence, mindset, and lift your spirit so you can successfully balance faith, career, and motherhood. Subscribe for inspiration, motivation, and lots of laughter, all from a Muslim woman's perspective.
Did you know that the hijab is not just the headscarf? It's not just the physical scarf that Muslim women choose to wear on their head, over their hair. It's a symbol of women's commitment to her faith. It's a symbol of modesty and an act of worship. Our hijab guides how we act, how we interact with others, what language we choose to use, and generally how we show up as Muslim women in society. Hijab requires both physical and mental discipline to wear it properly and respectfully. For us, Muslim women, hijab becomes obligatory when we hit puberty. When we get our first period, that's when we are supposed to start wearing the hijab. This is the rule and the command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unfortunately, not every single Muslim woman has sufficient understanding or education around the purpose of hijab, and that would make it very difficult for her to put it on in the first place, or if she did put it on, it would be a lot harder for her to hold on to her hijab. For example, some young girls, young women don't even know how to pray Salah, yet they are expected to wear the hijab. Salah is a pillar of Islam. Hijab is not a pillar of Islam. It is obligatory, but it's not a pillar of Islam. So putting the importance of the hijab over the prayer, it's not right, because when a woman doesn't know how to pray and she doesn't get that connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through daily prayers, it'll be hard for her to hold on to her hijab. It creates a lack of understanding, and that leads to disconnect. When you don't have that spiritual connection to your hijab, it becomes very easy for you to resent it, because you might feel like it's holding you back. Women can also be pressured into wearing the hijab by their family, and it can be very difficult for them to say no. And once again, when they don't have that deep understanding of the purpose of hijab, and they are only wearing it because they've been told to wear it, and they've been pushed into that decision without fully understanding it, it creates a very unhealthy relationship between them and their hijab, which of course can lead them to taking it off later down the line. In fact, Muslim women should never be forced into wearing the hijab. It does so much more harm than it does good. Alhamdulillah, the vast majority of Muslim women do choose to wear hijab, and they put it on of their own free will. And as a result, they wear it with love and pride, and that's the goal. If you are a revert to Islam, like me, for example, and you put the hijab on, but then you faced a lot of friction and conflict within your family, with your non-Muslim family members, that can put a lot of pressure on you as you're trying to salvage the relationship that you have with your family and trying to kind of follow your faith, yet keep everybody else around you happy. That pressure and the criticism you get from your Muslim family can very much push you over the edge and influence you to take your hijab off just to please your family and avoid the conflict, because you might be very sick of it. I'm not wearing the hijab, but I'm still a good Muslim. This is something that I've told myself in the first couple of years of my journey to Islam since becoming Muslim. It took me a couple of years to put the hijab on, and this is what I've been telling myself. I'm still a good Muslim. I don't need to wear the hijab. I honestly, being very honest here, I thought I would never put the hijab on just because it was so new and foreign to me and such a huge visible change that I honestly dreaded it. I didn't want to take that step because of the fear and the hesitation. Yes, back then I was a good Muslim. I tried my best and I did my best in the season of life I was in, on what terms I was with my non-Muslim family. I did my best back then. But at one point I realized that it was good but wasn't good enough. And I really pushed myself to make that choice. Because as Muslims, we are supposed to learn and grow and improve ourselves. And I knew that I couldn't carry on not wearing the hijab, knowing full well that it's obligatory for us. I took my time, I learned about it, I deepened my connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through prayer. I made lots of dua and alhamdulillah, I got there. Was I perfect at the beginning? No, I'm still not perfect. I still struggle. I still learn new things and do the best that I can to improve consistently. We as Muslims should always aim for growth and improvement. We need to strive to be better and do better. We should always do whatever we can to learn more. We need to work hard on becoming the best versions of ourselves. Even if we consider ourselves good Muslims, there is no limit when it comes to striving towards greatness. You know what I mean? When it comes to practicing your faith. I shifted my mindset and the work that I've done to improve my Islamic knowledge and, the work that I've done to deepen my connection to my faith helped me to put my hijab on and wear it with love and pride. So I want you to remember that anything is possible if you have a sincere intention. Also, a lot of Muslim women face Islamophobia on a daily basis, especially if they live in the Western society. Muslim women choose to remove the hijab on when they become a victim of a hate crime or harassment. They're being criticized or judged. It's awful. It really shakes you to your core. How can you don't want those negative experiences happening to you. You don't want to go through it. No one wants to go through it. So they see that the best solution to their problem is removing the hijab. You're no longer visibly Muslim, you blend in with the crowd, and you hope for the best. There are always pressures in the society that, especially in the Western, I live in the Western society, I see how it is and I can talk about that. But there are always these pressures for you to conform to the norm. Be like everybody else. Don't stand out. Do what you're told. And if you do, people would do whatever they can to shut you down. So Muslim women who wear the hijab in the Western society, just because they're visibly Muslim, they will face more scrutiny and they would be targeted simply because they are Muslim and they are wearing hijab. So there are societies that make hijab an obstacle when it comes to women succeeding in her career. Women can lose their jobs because of their hijab, and they see that the only solution for them to function in such a society is to remove the hijab. And yeah, I'm talking about the hijab bans in France, for example. There are such societies that make it very hard and almost impossible for Muslim women to be a part of society, to work and earn a living if they are committed to their faith and wearing the hijab. So some women feel that they just want to belong in the society that they live in, and they feel like the only option for that to happen is for them to change themselves and remove the hijab, sadly. So yeah, I kind of touched on a point of oppression because it really raises my blood pressure when people say, hijab is so oppressive, you are oppressed for wearing it. Oh, it just makes me so mad. Hijab is not oppressive. Did you know that? Let me educate you. Hijab is simply a choice that Muslim women make because they are committed to their faith, and it's an act of worship. It's not forced by anyone else. It's not allowed to be forced by anyone else. Whoever is doing the forcing is actually in the wrong, because they'll be like, but Muslim women over there are forced, and this Muslim women and the girls in the families that are forced. That's cultural practices that has nothing to do with the teaching of Islam. There is no compulsion in religion. There is no compulsion in Islam. So whoever is doing the forcing, they're in the wrong. They are sinning. It's wrong. Yeah, let's just clear that out. And also, I want you to pause for a moment and realize that there are so many hundreds and thousands of Muslim women out there who speak up against oppression, and they are hijab-wearing Muslim women. And I also want you to take a moment and think about when you tell Muslim women to remove their hijab, you're telling them how to dress, how to be, how to think. You don't give them a choice or a say in that matter. That's oppressive. You're literally dictating women that they can't, not you specifically, societies and all that stuff. I'm just passionate. When the societies tell women, you can't wear the hijab, you will not get that job, you can't earn a living because you're wearing the hijab, take it off and only then we will accept you. And you're not giving her a choice, you're not giving her a say, you're not letting her live her life the way she wants to live. That's oppression. That's so oppressive. So just food for thought there. Moving on. Another thing that I came across, especially being on social media, on TikTok, I always talk how hijab is mandatory, it's obligatory for us. When we hit puberty, we need to start wearing it. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed us to do. But there would be people, Muslim people, who would come at me and just say, hijab is actually not obligatory. It's a cultural practice. You don't have to wear the hijab. So I've done my research and I know for a fact that it is obligatory. So there is nothing you can say to sway me in the opposite direction. But a lot of women fall into that trap. The Quran clearly states that hijab is obligatory. Modesty and covering your hair and everything besides your hands and your face is obligatory. And it can be seen in the verses 24:31. I'm going to put it on the screen here so you can have a look for yourself. And another verse in the Quran that also supports that idea is 33:59. So I'm going to leave both verses on the screen so you can have a look for yourself. Do further research and form your own opinion, but it clearly states it there. In the world of social media and internet connection, information is very accessible to everyone, and contradicting information surfaces that way as well. So if you get your information from social media and there are people who tell you, oh, it's actually misinterpreted, or oh, this is not actually true, being exposed to that kind of information creates doubt, and that can potentially lead a Muslim woman into taking her hijab off because she think that what she was exposed to, the information she was exposed to on social media, for example, or, you know, someone just sent her a very biased video and article when it comes to hijab and how obligatory it is. There's a lot of information out there. It can plant a seed of doubt, and then she will be on the journey of removing her hijab. In this life, alhamdulillah, we've been blessed with the Quran and the Sunnah, and we need to go to those sources to look for authentic information and look at the explanations of the verses, because you have to take the verses with the sunnah and the historic context to fully grasp that idea. So please, even after watching this video, like, go do your own research. I'm sharing what I know. I'm sharing what I found. I am not a scholar. I'm simply a person a revert who is learning every single day more and more about her faith. So please, I know for a fact that I found for myself that hijab is obligatory in the research that I've done, but you go ahead and do your own research and form your opinion based on the thorough research that you will conduct on your own terms. So this is what I gotta say. But people in my comments would always be like, yeah, hijab is not obligatory. Yeah, you don't need to wear it. Yeah, it doesn't. Wearing a hijab is an act of worship. And yes, it doesn't make you any less Muslim. But like I said, we as Muslims should always strive for growth and improvement. We can't just be like, well, yeah, I'm a good Muslim. I'm just going to sit back and not improve and not do anything when it comes to practicing my faith. That's also not right. So yes, we're all on our own journey. This is a judgment-free zone, but I'm just sharing my experience when people come at me with the comments about how hijab is not obligatory, and other people who might have not done thorough research might come across it and take it as fact. So yeah, I hope that all of that makes sense, but please do your own research. So when people say that can create doubt and can lead a woman to remove her hijab, especially if she's already struggling. And of course, a lot of people talk about the influences removing the hijab and it being a trend. It's not a trend. They are just flawed humans like you and I. We all go through our struggles. They had their own reasons to remove the hijab. Maybe it was one of the reasons that I mentioned, maybe a completely separate personal reason. They're all flawed humans and they do have free will to make their own decisions. But because they are so public about that decision and they have big followings, a lot of the times just creates a lot of noise and a lot of young, impressionable hijabis who maybe once were inspired by them wearing the hijab that motivated them to wear hijab, and now they take it off and they almost feel betrayed. Like, it's okay, we all have the right to feel how we want to feel about certain influences that take off their hijab, and that, you know, we are allowed to have an opinion on that. But at the end of the day, it's their journey that has absolutely nothing to do with us. So yeah, but a lot of young Muslim women might look at them and like, well, they've removed it. Maybe it's not as obligatory as people make it out to be. It creates a seed of doubt. They look at them and they might feel inspired and influenced by their decision to remove it. But once again, you can't blame the influences. At the end of the day, you're making your own decision. So I'm just listing the reasons why Muslim women might want to take off their hijab. So watching your favorite influencers, watching your favorite people that you've looked up to when it comes to hijab and modesty, and them taking a step back from that, that can create all sorts of turmoil and mixed emotions. So if you are someone who is struggling with hijab and one of your favorite influencers takes it off, I strongly recommend you either unfollow them or mute their content, because when you are struggling with hijab, it's up to you to nurture your mindset. It's up to you to take control and really only expose yourself to the content that inspires you and motivates you to stick to wearing the hijab. So if that happens, unfollow them. That's what I do sometimes when I find myself feeling very strong emotions around somebody's decision to take off the hijab. If their content is no longer aligned with my views, I will unfollow them. It's not personal. It's just me protecting what I expose myself to. I know through my research that hijab is obligatory. It's a part of my Muslim identity. It's an act of worship. I've seen so many benefits in my life when it comes to wearing the hijab. I experienced them firsthand. So I know that if I want to truly stick to my hijab, I need to remain on the true path, and I need to constantly feel inspired and motivated by people around me, or by what content I choose to consume. If I filter it properly, I will nurture my hijab loving mindset, if that makes sense, and I will stick to my hijab. So I would unfollow them, and I would recommend you do the same, so you don't feel influenced or swayed from your decision to put on the hijab on and staying committed to that decision. We have to realize that wearing the hijab is a big change. It's uncomfortable. Any change in life is always slightly uncomfortable. However, we should also not forget that with change comes growth. The key is to have patience with yourself and your image. If you're a new hijabi, give yourself some time and space to figure it out on your own terms. I was uncomfortable wearing the hijab for the first 2 years of my hijab journey. It's a very big decision and a big change when you make that decision to embrace such an important part of your identity. And it does come with so many benefits. For one thing, it's a beautiful act of worship that brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The beginning of the hijab journey, of any hijab journey, is a time of self-discovery. And it comes with a lot of growing pains. But those growing pains will lead you towards you understanding yourself better as a Muslim woman. Our mindset is truly the key to how successful our hijab journey is. You might not feel comfortable at the very beginning when you put your hijab on, but in time and through trial and error and lots of practice, you will rediscover yourself, and you will learn to love your hijab and who you are in it and what it represents. If you are a new hijabi who is just trying to figure it out, or you are a seasoned hijabi who is going through hardship in your life and you suddenly feel burdened by your hijab, or you're struggling with wearing it full time, I want you to pause for a moment and remind yourself that you've put the hijab on for a reason. Have confidence in that decision to put the hijab on. You know in your heart that there are so many benefits that come with wearing the hijab, like modesty and spirituality. And it's not just about the outside wearing a headscarf. It's what on the inside too. Your strong faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and your identity as a Muslim woman. Some people who aren't Muslim might not understand why you put the hijab on, but you do. You know it. And you can truly overcome any challenges that come your way. Just work on deepening your connection to your faith through prayer, and constantly remind yourself of the reasons why you chose to put the hijab on in the first place. Your hijab shows confidence, your confidence as a Muslim woman. And it shows the world that you are proud of your Muslim identity. Hijab is a journey that takes time, patience, and dedication to figure it out. Sometimes it may take a woman years to find the style that she feels comfortable in and really find that confidence in hijab. As I mentioned before, the society doesn't make it easy for women to wear the hijab. We constantly feel the need to fit in with the crowd within our societies because sadly, if you are a minority, belonging is not an option. It doesn't come naturally and it doesn't come easy. The most beautiful thing, one of the most beautiful things about Islam is how important it is to have a sincere intention. And I also wish that we as the Ummah were more conscious of what we say and what we do and how it might affect other people around us. If you're wearing a hijab, you are constantly being judged and criticized on social media. Maybe you're wearing it not up to certain people's standards and they would criticize you for it, they'd shame you for it. It's difficult for hijabi women, but that's why it's important for us to remember that we're not doing it for anyone else. We're not doing it for praise and we're not doing it for criticism. We are doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please remember that incomplete hijab is still hijab. It's better than no hijab. And sadly, a lot of people feel entitled to criticize you. We have to remember that criticizing and shaming other women for their hijab is completely unproductive, and it can do so much harm. It can push them further away from Islam, and it can cause them to take their hijab off. And that's sad. So if you're struggling with your hijab, if you're thinking of taking it off, just reconsider. Always focus on the reasons why you must wear it rather than focusing on excuses why you can't anymore. And if you want your hijabi sisters to hold on to their hijab, here's what you can do. Rather than shaming them or criticizing them or judging them or telling them they're doing this or that wrong, you can take the time out of your day and make dua for them, and that will help them so much more. We are all flawed humans, and we are all trying to do the best that we possibly can in the seasons of life that we're in. We all go through different things. We all face hardships. We all have our challenges, and that can affect how we feel about our hijab. So we don't know what other people go through, so we always need to have that in mind. And if we do want to advise our sisters, we're going to do it compassionately and privately, like our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would. And I want to wrap up this video with a message to my Muslim hijabi-wearing sisters. Don't be afraid to stand out in your hijab. Nothing happens without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. So you need to have faith in him. You are beautiful in your hijab and you are powerful. There is no need for you to feel that you need to fit in with the crowd. You can still be yourself. You can still be yourself wearing the hijab and feel like empowered Muslim woman. Hijab is a symbol of modesty and it's a beautiful, beautiful act of worship. It brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that just makes everything else in your life fall into place. It's not just a piece of cloth that you wear on your head. It's a representation of your values, your beliefs, and your Muslim identity. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and tuning into this video. I really appreciate you watching it. If you enjoyed it and found value in it, make sure to leave me a thumbs up, comment below, let me know. Share this video with someone who might be struggling with the hijab or considering it or considering to take it off. Share it with them. I really hope it helps them to choose not to go down that route. But don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and wherever you are, I hope you have an amazing day. Assalamu alaikum, and I'll catch you later.